spicy. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane. I am on TikTok and Instagram as Spicy Sunday Finance. Welcome to your financial literacy YouTube page for Canadians. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a little bit more about my investing plan for this year. So that way it gives you an idea on how maybe you can set up your investing plan. I called it an investing blueprint. So today I'm going to share with you what my plans are with the paychecks I receive. I started working not too long ago, last year, May. So this is just how I've planned to distribute my paycheck bi-weekly. That way I'm on track to meeting my goals. And I'll talk about what those goals are for me. I'm working with my partner so that we can reach our financial goals together. So today's video will include my investing plan, how I structure my budgeting monthly, and then also my sinking funds or short-term goals. So to start off, my investing plan includes investing in my FHSA, which is the First Home Savings Account, and the RSP, which is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. I've maxed out my TFSA last year, so I won't be contributing to the new contribution room of $7,000 for 2025 because I will be prioritizing the two other registered accounts. My goal is to try and max out my FHSA and contribute towards my RSP. That way I can use that to pay for my down payment for my first home. And my goal for a first home is 3 years. In January of this year, I started at $11,000 in my FHSA, and to get to $24,000, which is my limit, I have to deposit around $1,000 each month from my paychecks so that I can max out $24,000 by the end of this year. And I show you guys what I invest in my Invest With Me videos on TikTok. For my RSP, I'm going to plan to start contributing towards that in May, and I'll be putting in $750 bi-weekly on top of the $500 of my FHSA. So in total, I'll be contributing around $1,250 per paycheck just towards investing. With my partner, our ultimate goal after the 3 years is to save up around $150,000 together. So that includes $25,000 from both of us each year for the next 3 years. I also share my monthly budgets with my paychecks in my TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you'd like a quick overview of that, you can go check that out here. But to go over a more detailed plan of how my budget is allocated, this is just from the salary I make as a lab tech. I also earn social media income, however, that's very variable, so I don't like to include that into my budget plan and my financial goals. Any excess money I make from social media or other side hustles, I will put that all towards savings and investing. But to go over a detailed budget of what my monthly income looks like, I use a spreadsheet. This is just one I've made. So this is what I'm using each month, actually almost every week, to check in with my finances. Something that I didn't introduce on my TikTok and Instagram is a spending tracker. So I've actually created this here as well, where it's different to your monthly income personal budget. Because what I found was it's a little hard to keep track of what your spending is in that month and your credit card bills, because your credit card bill will always be a month before. And so that kind of doesn't correlate. So I've changed this for myself. I took out that spending tracker and put it on a different spreadsheet. That way I only track what actually goes in and out each month, which doesn't include any credit card transactions that will be included in next month's bill, if that makes sense. For all the payments that I'll be making to my credit card bill will actually be spending that I have done 21 days ago. So that's where you'll see this credit card bill section here, because that made more sense for me when I'm using the paycheck to pay off my credit card bills each month. But with my spending tracker, so that I can see how much I'm spending each month, because I want to set monthly goals for myself, I'll put all the transactions that I've done in that month. And then on this side, I'll see it in a calendar view. I really like this because when I did this on Instagram, I made like a Canva template and I would input it manually using the stories feature like this. But I want it to be so it's automated. So once you put in the transaction, type up what it is, the amount and the date, then that will total up all your transactions that were made in that same date. And then you can see it in a calendar view like this. It's just easy to glance what your monthly transactions were. So a more detailed overview on how I break down my budget and what I plan to do for the rest of the year is I get paid around $3,000, $3,500 each month. I set a goal for myself to not spend more than $650, $700 per month. That way my credit card bills are not exploding. I also have a few fixed expenses which are also included in my credit card bills, but some of that includes phone bill, rent, just a little bit though. I do live with my parents and I don't drive, so I don't have a lot of expenses going out. I also don't have that many groceries, or if I do want to cook for myself or with my partner, or I want to buy food that I want to eat, then that will all go towards groceries. But a lot of my expenses will be eating out. And then I also pay student loans, and that's set to the minimum payment for the longest amount. I put it this way because my interest, I'm in BC and I'm in Canada, so 0% interest. So I'm very lucky to just be able to cruise along with this, and that's what I have here. And then afterwards, I'll set it towards my sinking funds. Currently, I have 4 sinking funds. The main 2 that I'll be setting aside for the next 3 years is the furniture fund and an emergency fund. I already have an emergency fund, but that's just to pertain for myself. This emergency fund is a goal for both my partner and I when we have higher expenses living together, and so we've made it a goal to put it towards $18,000. So we set aside $250 each month, so that way we can reach that goal. So I put in $250 into both this emergency fund and the furniture fund, because the furniture fund we've also put around $18,000, and $250 a month, which comes to around $3,000 in a year, and 3,000 times 3, 9,000. For 2 people, 18,000. So that's kind of how that's been broken down. Another one that I have is a personal care fund, which I've set to $900, $1,000. And after analyzing all my transactions from last year, I found that I really only get my lashes done once. I get my hair done once, maybe a pedicure, maybe a nail appointment, and I really only do these things once a year. So when I added all that up, it came to around $900, $1,000. You might be thinking, why is it so high if you just do it once a year? And that's because my hair appointment is quite a bit. So if you're a girl, you know. And the other fund I have is a Japan fund, which is for a trip that's coming up really soon, but that's a very temporary one. So that might roll over to a travel fund if I decide to maybe change up how my budget looks like. I might increase my monthly spending, or I might increase my sinking funds. We'll see. The other parts that I really like about this spreadsheet is that I can track my goal spend and my actual spend using this bar graph. And then in the top section here, I also get to see a little breakdown of this month's income, bills, spending, etc. And then I also have a total year to date, which adds up what was done all the months before. So I think what's important here is if you haven't drafted up your financial blueprint for the year, I would definitely recommend getting that done. The first thing I do is identify what your goals are. If a home is in vision, add that as your goal. If you want a home and you want furniture, add a furniture fund. If you need an emergency fund, add that. If you're going to buy a car, add that. And just list all the goals that you want to meet financially. This can also include personal sinking funds as well. So I would include all of the sinking funds and all the investments that you want to make. So if it's a home that you're trying to save up for, then maybe that might include putting your money into an FHSA or RRSP. If you're planning maybe retirement, that could just be an RRSP or even a TFSA. List out all your goals. Then tackle off what you really need and what may be a goal that you sort of need, but you don't have to contribute too much to it. Then finally, I would set numbers to each of these goals. So if home is in your horizon, then maybe calculating what your down payment would come out to is a really great way. That way you can break that down by the number of years that you want to attain that goal. That also goes with furniture and any other funds that will correlate with your home. How I did this was I wanted to get a home in 3 years. I've set a goal for 3 years. I've then calculated a very rough estimate on how much my goal house, my dream house budget will come out to. Then found out how much of 20% would be as a down payment. And then I broke that down into 3 years. And because I'm going to be doing this with my partner, it's going to be split into 2. That's also the same way for the emergency fund and furniture fund I've set up. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is just go on a shopping spree. Not a real one though. I wrote down a list of all the furniture and appliance, not everything, but just the necessities. And I've totaled all that up. and it came out to around 15,000. I think I'm undershooting myself here. I think I should have aimed for 20, but we can adjust that after this year, and we can always increase the amount when we reevaluate our blueprint for next year. I've added all that up and it became to 18,000, and so that's how I've divided that up along with the emergency fund. Another way to do this is just aim to see what your monthly expenses would be with a home. So that would include, I estimated a mortgage payment, a rough one with the house budget I had in mind, bills such as internet, electricity, all the things that you would see if you were to own a home. If you have a car payment, include that, just everything. Phone bill, and then you would get an idea of how much you have to spend each month. You multiply that by how many months you want to save up. Emergency funds are usually 3 to 6 months. Some people like to shoot a little bit more. So I've set it for just 3 months for now, which is how I got 18,000. I hope this video was helpful. If you need a budget template, you can check out my link down below where I've linked out my Stan store, and you can find some other goodies there. But if you haven't set up a blueprint yet, I highly recommend you do so, because I personally find that doing this gives me a better sense of what my future payments for myself will look like, and gives you a vision of how your goals will be more attainable. So definitely try this out. If you have any questions, you can always leave me a comment, but make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!